Wow, that was shorter than I thought it was going to be. How's everybody?
Hey, good to see you.
Good to
Good to
see
see
you,
you,
Farmer.
AJ and Becca and everybody online. Is there anybody online?
We got a lot of people on Rumble so far.
All right.
We got about 15 folks on Rumble, and we're catching up on Twitter and Facebook and everyone else who gets the notification afterwards.
All right.
Hi, Pharmacist Ben. Hi, Coach AJ.
Hey, Becca Dukes.
Becca Dukes. Hola.
You guys are looking sharp this evening.
Did you?
Well.
I don't know if you noticed, I got my 1-star pin on.
Nice. I did notice.
Just received it in the mail. So, and it's all because of you two.
Really?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Setting the table and helping me to help others. So that's what it's all about. I really am thrilled here. So just to start it off, folks, welcome to Pharmacist Ben's Bites. I haven't had a chance to put anything in the chat for the different platforms to get it activated. But Pharmacist Ben, do you want to say something? Because we have about 10 questions.
10 questions. So let's go fast because I have till 8 or another at the top of the hour. I'm not sure where you're at.
Okay.
So let her rip.
All right. So, I'm going to start with one. Unless, Becca, do you want to start with one?
No, you go ahead. I'm going to get the other things going.
Okay. So we have a question from Alan. He's 69 years old and he's active, 5'10" and 220 pounds. He's on a blood pressure med for 50 milligrams a day, on type 2 diabetes meds.
Okay.
And the blood sugar is 6.9. He's got osteoarthritis in his knees from hockey injuries. He had a gel shot in it a few weeks ago. He's also been on Zenhale for asthma, no attacks, been on various meds since childhood. He takes no rescue inhalers, and he wants to get off all his drugs.
Okay. So do you remember how we said there's only one disease?
Yes.
Well, this guy's a classic example of that. He only has one problem, and his body's falling apart. And I don't mean to be glib. I'm not trying to be funny. But it's really, we overthink this thing so much. So first of all, right off the bat, he's 5'10", 220, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
So unless he's playing football, he's a running back for the Denver Broncos or something, he's carrying too much weight. And that's a sign of metabolic syndrome. Now, furthermore, he's on diabetes meds, right? So obviously he's got some blood sugar issues. 6.9, that's not incredibly high, but that's with his meds, right?
Right.
So this guy's got a blood sugar problem. There's only 3 places where the body breaks down, and then that leads to everything else, and that's the digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the adrenal thyroid axis. And to even simplify it further, you're talking about a digestive issue and a blood sugar issue. That's it. So Alan, you got a digestive problem, you got a blood sugar problem, period. Very easy to deal with. Okay, now you said he's got some osteoarthritis, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's not from a hockey injury. That's fallacy. So what else did you say aside from osteoarthritis?
Well, that pretty much covers it. The blood sugar, the knee injury.
Yeah, the knee injury should have recovered. He should have repaired itself. So the problem is his body is not healing correctly. And that has to do with the fact that his blood sugar, one of the reasons his blood sugar is disturbed, dysglycemia. It's not diabetes, it's dysglycemia, disturbed blood sugar. And disturbed blood sugar follows problems with the digestive system, the intestine, the bile, the gallbladder, and the liver. So first things first, work on food. Now, I say that all the time, but there's a resistance to that. We don't want to work on food. We don't want to work with food because we don't necessarily eat like a lion does in the jungle. We eat like domesticated human beings. We eat when we're depressed. We eat when we're at a party. We eat because something tastes good. We eat because the food is put in front of us. That's not how a lion eats. Lion doesn't eat that way. Lion eats when it's hungry and stops eating when it's not, and it eats food that it's evolved to eat. Over the last 150 years, we've completely changed our food supply. Make no mistake about it. There's not a single thing in the supermarket today that existed 150 years ago in terms of food. Even the produce is different. Even the meat is different. You know, when you think the produce, the meat, and the eggs would be similar, they're not, because of how we feed the animals. So we've completely turned our food supply upside down. Of course, there's going to be issues. So what do? You're very, very, very careful about how you eat, and you eat as little as possible. And if you're eating because something tastes good, you've drank the Kool-Aid, and you're going to pay the price. And I'm not trying to beat anybody up, because I do it too. But if you have a problem, a health problem, this represents a point of power. So what I would ask Alan, and it's hard to do this without having him in front of me to ask him questions, I'd ask him about his digestive issue, about his digestive health. And I would pretty much assume that there's going to be some digestive problems. If you're subsisting on the standard American diet, and you're 69 years old, and you're dealing with degenerative disease like osteoarthritis and dysglycemia, the chances are pretty good there's some digestive health issues there. So if I had Alan here, I'd tell him to do a food diary. I tell him to eliminate problem foods, and I tell him to eat as little as possible. And this is extremely important for everybody, healthy or not, unhealthy or healthy. Eat as little as possible. Again, I'm not beating anybody up. I do it too. I eat when I'm not supposed to, when I don't necessarily need to eat because I'm bored or it's in front of me or I think it tastes good. But if you're sick, this represents a place that you can work, a place, a leverage point. So for Alan, number one, food diary, lay off of problem foods, look for foods that cause digestive distress, eliminate those, work on digestive health. If there's really some blatant digestive health issues, get on the I-26, the nightly essence, the ultimate enzymes. Actually, ultimate enzymes are good for everybody. You should probably just take the ultimate enzymes. And then maybe the daily digest and the ultimate microbiome. Strictly for the blood sugar, sweeties, ultimate niacin, ultimate selenium. I think the ultimate selenium is part of the blood sugar pack. So you might want to get on the healthy blood sugar pack. It's not. Okay, so get on the healthy blood sugar pack plus the ultimate selenium and the ultimate niacin. Selenium is very important for insulin, and the ultimate and niacin is very important for blood sugar control. So both of those, MSM, the ultimate MSM can also help. Sulfur is important for insulin. And then fats. Number one, your ultimate EFA, that's going to be helpful. But if you have problems with the gallbladder and the liver, you may not be absorbing, and the intestine, you may not be absorbing your fats correctly. So you're going to want to focus on that too. So ultimate EFAs in terms of supplements, but if you have any digestive health issues, you're going to want to work on fat absorption, and that's going to be your ultimate enzymes and your nightly essence and your I-26, as we just mentioned. I'd also probably throw in the TMR shake, which I absolutely love, and I personally do every day. The TMR shake is got whey protein in it, which is very important for building. And by the way, even if you're healthy, everybody over the age of 50 should be doing whey protein. And everybody over the age of 50 should be doing some kind of weight-bearing exercise, especially if you're over the age of 60 or over the age of 70. Yes, over the age of 70, you want to do weight-bearing exercises. That is resistance training of some kind. And then also whey protein, TMR shake is my favorite whey protein. There's also the Fit shake. And Jeffy's got a few different whey protein shakes. And then also this, Debbie doesn't have this, but I personally like the supplements, creatine. I don't know if you know about creatine, AJ. Creatine and protein and resistance training are things that athletes use, or athletes employ. When we're old, we don't want to be frail. So anything that an athlete is doing to build muscle, to bodybuild, if you will, is going to be extra important for us as we age. The worst thing that can happen as you age is that you become frail. That's really a big part of the misery that's associated with the aging process is frailty. And so resistance training, using protein, using creatine, using the supplements in general, as if you were an athlete, as if you were a bodybuilder. And look, we're all athletes because just getting your butt out of bed in the morning is an athletic event. So in a way, we're all athletes. And if an athlete is doing something, we want to do it, particularly as you get older. So for our friend Alan here, work on your blood sugar, work on the digestive system, and go anabolic. Anabolism means to build. I've always said this, as we're young, when we're younger, the body's like a business. When you're in business, you're always spending money, you're always making money. It doesn't matter that you're spending money. It doesn't matter that you're making money. It matters the net, right? If you're making $1 million, but you're spending $2 million, that ain't good, right? But if you're making $1, but you're spending 50 cents, you're better off than somebody who's making $1 million and spending $2 million. It doesn't matter what you're making. It doesn't matter what you're spending. It matters the net. We call that in the red and in the black. The body is the same way. The body is constantly in this dynamic dance of anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism means building. Catabolism means breaking down. It doesn't matter that you're breaking down. It matters the net. You want to be net anabolic. That means you want to be in the black. When you're young, you're in the black. If you look at a little kid, he's in the black. Little kid, you want to pinch his gorgeous little cheeks, right? You can't believe some. And I know you don't have any kids. I don't think you have any kids, right, AJ?
Yeah, he's too old to be pinching his cheeks, but yeah.
Okay, well, but when you look at your little kid, you're just amazed at how vital and vibrant and filled with the life force they are. It's just a thing to behold, right? Mm-hmm. And we all enjoy that, and that's a manifestation of a body / business that's in the black. You look at your grandma, not so much. They're in the red. They're breaking down. The trick is to turn that equation around so that you are building more than you're breaking down. That's really all health is you want to build more than you're breaking down. We talk about nutritional supplements. They're important for building. We talk about resistance training or weight-bearing exercises. They're important for building. We talk about accessory nutrients like creatine, important for building. And not only is building important when you're young and vital and you want to be, look good at the bars if you're a guy, or look good on your bikini if you're a girl. It's important when you're older, my age, not quite your age yet, but, people my age, 60s and 70s, you want to be building, you want to be strong and vital, and you'll be able to bypass a lot of the misery that's associated with the aging process.
Okay. And this gentleman also mentioned that he had asthma. So you mentioned the fats, the EFAs.
He said he had asthma too, this guy, Alan? I didn't catch that.
Asthma.
All right. So asthma needs to be regarded as an immune condition. It's a sign of immune activation. That means something is getting into his body that's waking up the defenses. The reason they give you steroids, that's the main drug for asthma, inhalers, is because they suppress the immune system. Anytime you're on a steroid, that's telling you that your immune system is active and they want to suppress it. This is the doctor. And I don't want to rip on doctors. I have to say this all the time. I have a lot of friends who are doctors. It's not a ripping on doctor thing. It's the model. The doctor's job is to shut your symptoms down, not to fix you. I want everybody out there to understand the doctor's job is not to get you healthy. It's to get you to feel better. See the distinction? Mm-hmm. Not to get you healthy. We conflate these two ideas. We think, I'm going to go to the doctor, I'm going to get healthy. No, you're not going to go to the doctor and get healthy. There's no doctor that can get you healthy. There's doctors, with the exception perhaps of infections and antibiotics. The doctor's job is to suppress your symptoms. So if you're on a steroid drug, they're suppressing an immune activation, the symptoms of an immune activation. Immunity is your defense system. So AJ, not medical, not scientific, just logic. If you have a problem that's associated to defense, what do you want to look for if you really want to get rid of the problem?
An offending agent.
Exactly. What's the offending agent? And when we talk about an offending agent, we're not talking about an offending agent on the top of your head or the tip of your nose or in your eyes. What are we talking about the offending agent? In the blood. When we talk about offending agents in the body, we're not talking about the top of your head. We're not talking about the bottom of your foot or your butt. We're not talking about your skin. We're not talking about your nose. We're not talking about your lips. We're talking about the blood. When we talk about immunity, we talk about defense. We talk about an offending agent. It's the blood. It's all about the blood. All disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by
dirty blood.
Dirty blood. So the blood becomes a route of a highway for the delivery of toxicity, of enemy. So then the question becomes, how does the enemy get into the blood? Well, one way is you can inject things. And anybody who has a relative or friend or watches TV knows that when people inject drugs, they get chronic disease. They get Parkinson's disease. They get autoimmune diseases. They get lousy skin. That's because they're injecting toxicity into the blood. But for most people, that's not an issue. I don't know people who are injecting drugs into their skin, with the exception of the doctor-approved ones, which is a whole nother story. What's the main source of toxicity into the blood?
What we consume.
Exactly. And given that what we consume is so corrupted, and given that we don't really eat according to what our body needs, of course there's going to be problems there. So asthma is an immune problem. Immune problem is an inflammatory problem. Inflammatory problems are defensive problems. Defensive problems require or mandate an offending agent. There's only two ways the offending agent gets into the body, i.e. the blood, is through injection or through food. If you're not injecting, it's going to be food. So for this gentleman, the fact that he has, are you frozen or are you just sleeping?
No, I'm just.
So for this gentleman,
I'm awestruck.
This gentleman with the Alan, I forgot or I didn't hear you say asthma. That implies a digestive issue as well. So like I said, usually somebody's going to have a digestive issue if they're 69 and symptomatic and they have blood sugar problems, but that just confirms it.
So he's got to fix his gut. The I-26 be helpful.
I-26, yeah, I-26. I love that stuff. I don't have a digestive problem, but I do it every day.
Yeah, I just ordered some more. I ran out.
Hyperimmune Egg. But you can't see it here. I don't know why.
Although I love the chewables, unfortunately.
I know you love the chewables.
I got to get my sugar somewhere. Okay.
All right.
Pharmacist Ben,
Yes, sir.
The title of the show is Nutritional Freedom Wars, A New Hope. Do you think there's some new hope that's going on now that there might be some focus on nutritional freedom?
I don't know. I'm suspicious. I'm very suspicious because the powers that be, the new powers that be, they were involved in that whole scam that happened 4 years ago, which we can't mention. I can't talk. The drug company that made the injection donated millions of dollars to the last, president who, so I don't want to mention his name, the last guy. So they're all in it together. I don't think there's going to be any big difference personally. I don't see any big changes. I've been reading about bird flu. You ever read about bird flu? That's the latest one. Let's go to the next one. I should say bird flu. So I'm not hopeful. Look, it's up to us. It's up to all of us. Get yourself on the longevity supplements. Eat less food. When you go by the Golden Arches, give them the finger because they hate you. They're not your friends at the Golden Arches or at the King, have it your way. They're not your friends. Applebee's in the neighborhood, eating good in the neighborhood. No, you're not. You're eating fried garbage, eating good in the neighborhood.
Have you seen
your friends? It's up to us. They're the enemy. You want to regard them as such. They are the enemy. Unless you have stock in the company, or maybe you own the restaurant. They're not your friends. Why are we complicit in our own demise? Why do we participate? I talk to so many people and they love French fries. There's very few foods that you could think of that are worse for a human being to ingest than French fries. And I'm not, I don't, you gotta be really careful when you talk about food because people have these kind of passions about certain things. And I like watching the Food Channel, by the way. I get off watching how people cook food, but French fries and that meat that they call patties, that's not even meat. I don't even know what that is. If you left a McDonald's hamburger on your counter overnight, it would look the same the next morning. Even the bugs don't want to eat the McDonald's hamburgers.
Pharmacist Ben, you have a choir full of people here. I do have a question. Did you see? Did you know that now there's a push towards the folks using beef tallow to make the French fries as opposed to? I mean, is that moving the needle?
No, that's ridiculous. It's better than vegetable oil. Fried vegetable oil is arguably, I was going to say it's like the worst thing you could put in your body, but there's so many worse things you could put in your body. So, it's on the list though. It's on the top 10 list of evil foods is vegetable oil. But I remember when they switched from beef tallow to vegetable oil because they thought it was healthier. They said, we only use vegetable oil. Tallow is at least, it's not as subject to damage from heat as vegetable oil is. Vegetable oil, when it's cooked, is one of the most pro-carcinogenic, pro-aging, pro-inflammatory substances you could ever eat, especially for the intestine. Mm-hmm. Leaky gut and inflammations at the level of the intestine can be caused by fried processed oils, which are extremely inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are we going to ever tell somebody not to eat French fries?
Yeah.
Is that ever going to go over? How's that going to ever go over?
It almost as well as don't eat pizza. But did you see the guy on social media who, in protest of the change to beef tallow, he says now he gets a bottle of Mazola and takes a big cup full of Mazola and gulps down a cup of Mazola. What do you expect his outcome to be in a couple weeks?
Death. I don't know about death, but
we need a follow-up.
We need a follow-up. That's pretty toxic. Mazola is pretty nasty stuff. Really. Okay. Anything that you get in the supermarket in the way of oil is going to be really nasty. Unless it's in a dark bottle. You go to Whole Foods maybe, and you have the oil's protected in a dark bottle, fancier oils. But the salad oil that you get, oh my God, that's horrible, horrible food. And it's no accident that chronic diseases, chronic degenerative disease rates increased dramatically, like hockey sticked, right around the time we figured out how to process oils industrially, along with processing carbohydrates industrially. So look, it's really interesting because there's so much control we have, but it does require a little bit of overriding your basic primal drives. And really overriding your basic primal drives for calories and for fat and for salt can be hacked into, and for sugar can be hacked into by using supplements. When you use your minerals, you're going to be less likely to want salty foods. When you use protein, you're going to be less likely to want sweet foods. And when you use your ultimate EFAs, you're going to be less likely to want to ingest fried oils. And that's why I always tell people, start your meals off with veggies. When you start your meals off with something good, you're less likely, psychologically speaking, to want something that's not good for you. Have you ever noticed that? When you're eating really good, it's like you have a tendency to want less things that aren't good.
That is true.
Right? So start your meals off or start your day off with veggies. And veggies can be problematic too, but veggies that are not problematic for you, start your meals off that way. They're filling. And also there's a psychological benefit to doing something good because you'll be less likely to wanting to do something bad. That's why exercise can be helpful. When you come home from the gym, it's very difficult to eat a bunch of ice cream, right? When you come from the gym, you just feel good. You don't want to ruin that. So there's a psychology to it as well.
All right, Pharmacist Ben, I know you're short of time tonight. Peggy says, I was diagnosed with CGA/PMR, polymyalgic rheumatica, and giant cell
arteritis.
Correct. I knew you'd know, but I had to.
Those are just inflammatory. Those are just, those are just fancy ways of saying you got inflammation in your connective tissue. Giant cell arteritis is an inflammation of the arteries of the connective tissue in the blood vessels. Polymyalgia, many muscle pain. Muscle algia pain. You got lots of muscle pain. Rheumatica refers to the fact that it's flowing throughout your muscles. It's all over the place. Rheumatica means all over the place. So doctors love Latin. So polymyalgia rheumatica means you got lots of muscle pain. It's all over the place.
Listen,
all
Ben.
the muscles.
Ben. The world is lucky to have you giving out this information free, breaking it down in this fashion. Well, I'm going to continue with her question.
Okay.
I was on prednisone for 6 years now. Prescription Arava. How do I get off these biologics?
Okay, so the biologic drugs are the fancy, are 21st century steroid drugs. They used to give steroids when you have inflammation. Like I was just saying, when you have an immune condition, defense, inflammation, the manifestation of the immune system. Inflammation is like a beaver's dam or like an airbag going on. An airbag protects you, but it can also kill you. An airbag is kind of like a cushion. So inflammation is a cushion. It kind of sequesters a damaged area. Problem is when you have lots of damaged areas, you've got lots of inflammation, and inflammation can be a problem, just like an airbag can be a problem. So this is a person who's being going to the doctor. And again, I want to be a little careful here because we go to the doctor because we don't feel like we know what's going on. But the doctor doesn't know either. He doesn't know either. That's why he's not solving the problem. He's just hiding the symptoms. That's what a steroid does. Now, over the last 20 years or 30 years maybe now, they've come up with a fancier, schmancy, high-tech way of shutting down the immune system. Steroids just globally suppress the immune system by dumbing it down, by telling the body, basically, you know how steroids work is they tell the body there's an emergency. Under emergency conditions, inflammation and immunity are calmed down. Why would that make sense, do you think? When the body perceives there an emergency, why would the immune system get shut down? Because immunity is a long-term response. It's a long-term protective response. Emergency, you don't care about immunity. You just got to get away from that lion, right? So cortisol, or hydrocortisone, if you get it for your skin, shuts down the immune system because it signals emergency. Now, do you think it's a good idea to tell your body that it's in an emergency state for 6 years? Of course not. It's terrible. And that's why cortisol and prednisone long-term will kill you. And before it kills you, it'll destroy your body. Prednisone is associated with weakened bones and weakened muscles and thinning skin, and just terrible drug. So 30 years ago, they figured out a high-tech way to suppress the immune system. The immune system, like all of the systems in the body, works with chemicals. Some of these chemicals are called cytokines. Have you heard of this term, cytokines?
The storm I've heard of.
Storm, yes. The cytokine storm is when the body's flooded with cytokines in response to some kind of stressor. The new drugs shoot down the chemicals of the immune system, specifically antibodies and cytokines as well. They shoot them down. Really super high tech. They use genetic technology to create antibodies. Antibodies are supposed to kill the bad guys, but in this case, they kill the immune system, the cells of the molecules of the immune system. So it's a little bit more selective than just the steroids, which shut everything down. So they say, they call them biologics, making you think, it's really healthy, it's a good thing, it's biology. No, it's not. The problem with the biologics is the margins on them are so ungodly. Like a penny worth of chemical sells for thousands of dollars a month. A month. It can cost you $10,000, $20,000 a month. That doesn't cost us. It costs the insurance companies, but ultimately it costs us. So you see these advertised all the time. Probably over 90% of the commercials you see for drugs are about biologics. And they want you buying them so much. That's that Broadway musical thing, where the girl's singing about her Jardiance and Dupixent and Stelara and all these drugs. The margins are so ungodly high that it's worth them putting a Broadway musical, a Broadway production, so that you'll buy it and they'll show it to you every 20 minutes. You'll see this commercial with that lady singing about Jardiance and the mailman coming and giving her her mail and
Okay, but
it's so mean-spirited. It's so
actually healed you, I wouldn't have a problem with the
can't heal you,
right? But it doesn't heal you.
It can't heal you because disease is the body's response to stress. Disease is a good thing to the body. Disease is protective to the body. So you can't heal with a drug. You can only heal by eliminating the cause of the protective response. So in the case of this gal, Peggy, what did you say her last name was? I think I know her. Can you tell me her last name? I know a gal named
O'Neill.
I think I know who Peggy is.
I don't know if that's a HIPAA violation, but okay,
yeah, we don't want to mention any names. So now that we've already mentioned her name, but she has an inflammatory problem, polymyalgia rheumatica, and arteritis are. I think arteritis is actually an autoimmune disease. In any case, they're immune problems. They're both immune problems, and you can tell because they're giving her immune suppressant, prednisone or the biologic. Where do immune conditions originate? Where does the enemy get into the body? Peggy, are you injecting things into your body? Are you injecting things in? No, probably not. Food, and digestive support. So you should probably get on the Ultimate EFAs as well. They're wonderfully anti-inflammatory. You might want to throw in the Ultimate Selenium, very important for the immune system. The Ultimate Zinc, or the Zinc FX, I guess, and the Vitamin C FX. Those are also important for the immune system. But as long as there's toxicity entering into the body through a leaky gut, you're going to run into an immune response. Patch up that gut. I-26, food diary, eliminate problem foods, nightly essence, ultimate enzymes, ultimate microbiome, daily digest. Anything you do for digestive support. I guarantee you, Peggy, if she's listening, Is she listening?
Well, she's going to get a copy of this.
I guarantee you she's got a long-standing, not short, long-standing. You know, sometimes I do these talks and I'll say, oh, you got a long-standing digestive problem. They're like, how did you know? Oh, my God. How could you? Because it's generic. There's nothing new under the sun, people. There's no new diseases. It's all the same thing. It's generic. The body breaks down generically, not specially. That's why specialists never do anything. When was the last time somebody got their MS cured from a specialist, or their polymyalgia rheumatica from a specialist? We all go to specialists. Disease is not special. We're not special, even though they want you to wear the little baseball hat. I have polymyalgia rheumatica. Race for the polymyalgia cure. You know, sponsored by Kentucky Fried Chicken.
All right, Pharmacist Ben, thank you for that. Carol writes in, hi, Ben. What brand or brands do you recommend looking for hyaluronic acid with rooster comb?
Okay.
I was getting Claire Labs, however, it's no longer available.
No, nobody uses rooster comb anymore. When I graduated, when I was in worked for Blistex in pharmacy school, hyaluronic acid was kept under lock and key because it came from rooster comb. You ever squeeze a rooster comb? You probably haven't.
No, I'm not a farm guy.
Yeah,
no.
You weren't on a farm. They don't have any roosters in the Big Apple, probably. But anyway, rooster combs are squishy. Feel your ear. Squeeze your ear.
Mm-hmm.
See that squishy?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of what a rooster comb feels like. And that squishiness is made up of hyaluronic acid and a few other things. Hyaluronic acid absorbs water. So that squishy quality is a combination of hyaluronic acid and a few other things and water. Yeah?
They kill the rooster?
They kill the rooster.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry to say. But because roosters, you know, there's not a lot of roosters around, relatively speaking. Hyaluronic acid was really expensive. It would cost you thousands of dollars a gram. Can you imagine? A gram is like a fifth of a teaspoon. And a fifth of a teaspoon of hyaluronic acid powder from rooster comb will cost thousands of dollars. And so you didn't see hyaluronic acid around anymore. But when they figured out how to do genetic technology, they figured out if they take the gene that's responsible for the production of hyaluronic acid and they insert it into a bacteria, that bacteria will make all the hyaluronic acid you want. You can have hyaluronic acid, you know, vats of hyaluronic acid. And this was a substance that was so hard to find, it was cost thousands of dollars a gram. So, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars a pound, if you can do the math, right? So, or even $1 million a pound, or millions of dollars a pound. So it was extremely expensive, but now it's extremely cheap. Nobody has rooster comb hyaluronic acid because it's so expensive. All hyaluronic acid is made with genetic technology, but the molecule's the same. If you want real hyaluronic acid, bone broth is your best way to do it. And that's one of the reasons why bone broth is such a valuable food, because in addition to hyaluronic acid, it has a lot of other things similar to hyaluronic acid. So if you really want that kind of hyaluronic acid that you get from rooster combs, eat lots of bone broth.
Well, what about glucogel?
Glucogel doesn't have hyaluronic acid in it, but it has molecules that turn on the production of hyaluronic acid. Glucosamine stimulates the production of molecules like hyaluronic acid, and glucosamine is also part of the joint tissue, but it's not hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is an incredibly valuable and multifunctional molecule.
Okay, so Truth Health doesn't have hyaluronic acid?
Who's Truth Health? True Skin Health? What are you talking about, Truth Health? My company?
Yeah.
True Skin Health.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. It's fermented.
She's asking you how to get it. Where can she get it?
Oh, orally. I don't like talking about my products. I'm here to talk about longevity products.
Okay, but she asked.
Collagen Recovery Complex. I use hyaluronic acid, and also I have a lot of hyaluronic acid in my hyaluronic mineral hydrator, and also my hyaluronic honey cleanser. I like hyaluronic acid in cleansers because one of the things hyaluronic acid does is it sucks up water like a sponge. And so when you wash your face with a cleanser that has hyaluronic acid in it, like my hyaluronic acid honey cleanser, when you wash your face, some of that water from the tap or the shower is going to stick to that hyaluronic acid, and it kind of softens your face as you're washing. So I like hyaluronic acid in cleansers. I also have it in my hyaluronic mineral hydrator, which is minerals and hyaluronic acid.
Well, maybe Becca can put the link to your website,
Sure.
and they can find those products there.
Yes, that would
And
be great.
that would be good.
Yeah, true. You know, I've been doing skincare since 1982. Can you do the math? That's a long time, right? And what I discovered as a pharmacist, and I've been doing dermatology pharmacy for a long time, is skincare is BS. But in the pharmacy, I was dealing with patients who would come into my pharmacy with burns or with skin diseases, or that just fell off their bike, or a garage door hit them on the head, or they just had some surgery. They don't want to have scarring. I had patients who couldn't have BS. They needed the real deal. And so I created a whole way of treating the skin that, surprise, surprise, involves the delivery of topical nutrition. And that's what True Skin Health is about. It's topical nutritional supplements, essentially. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fatty acids, plant-derived minerals, by the way, in transdermal vehicles that heal the skin. You can use our anti-aging products to heal your baby's diaper rash. And that's how it should be. You know, healing and beauty are the same thing. Healthy skin is beautiful skin. If a skincare product isn't healing the skin, it's not beautifying it either. And this is why nobody's happy with their skincare. You know, we have thousands of different skincare companies and tens of thousands of different skincare products out there because nobody's happy. Nobody's satisfied. Everybody's looking for the next thing and the greatest thing because nobody's getting the benefits that they expect. With True Treatments, because they're healing products and they're pharmacy products, you have the same expectation of results with my skincare products that you have when you take a medicine. When you get a medicine, you expect it's going to do something to your body. It may not heal anything, but it's going to do something for your body. That's the kind of expectation you can have when you use my True Treatments. That's my commercial. And I don't really, I don't feel comfortable talking about True Treatments now, but since you asked.
Well, the people asked, not me.
Okay. All right.
So now, Nancy is saying that my heart rate is racing to 215. My docs want me on a beta blocker.
Okay.
All the heart tests are normal. The meds make me
how can the heart test be normal if her heart's racing like that?
All other.
Okay, so there's no damage to the heart, I think she means. So the main cause is going to be what are called a class of molecules called catecholamines, which are emergency molecules like adrenaline and noradrenaline. These are molecules that speed everything up, and they're emergency molecules. Having a heart that's racing like that tells me her body is in an emergency state. Now, if her heart tests are all normal, then there's probably some kind of psychological reason for that emergency state. It could also be low levels of oxygen, hypoxia. There could be some damage somewhere. Hormones like estrogen can do it. But more than likely, I would say it's a combination of stress hormones, specifically emergency hormones, which are maybe causing some kind of oxygenation problem. So for her, I would suggest oxygenation strategies, slow, deep breathing techniques, ultimate EFAs, which are important. That's one of the things that essential fatty acids do is they attract oxygen to cells. So ultimate EFAs, the B complex, the whole B complex, all of it, but especially vitamin B1, which is thiamine, and then vitamin B3 and B12, which you'll find in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Does she say she's supplementing?
It doesn't say that she's supplementing.
Yeah, I would oxygenation, relaxation strategies, and the healthy brain and heart pack. Yes, you may be excused.
Okay, thank you, because I do need to. Okay, so now heart racing, is that the same as AFib, or is that?
AFib is, no, it's similar. AFib is when the heart it's like jelly. It doesn't, the heart contraction is a very, very a complicated process. You've got a group of cells, they call them pacemaker cells, and then the pacemaker cells do their thing and they send a wave of electricity through the heart. And this is what causes the heart to beat. It's really an incredible process. And the fact that it proceeds impeccably hundreds of thousands of times a day, millions, billions of times in a lifetime is really an amazing thing. But under conditions of inflammation, lack of oxygen, glycation or sugar damage, deterioration of connective tissue, just things that, that happen as we get older and as disease kicks in, that wave won't occur as it should. That wave will be disrupted, and that means the heart won't beat as it should. It won't beat appropriately. Instead of beating with a big powerful pump, a big powerful beat, it'll wobble. And that's what fibrillation is. That's not the
Okay.
same as heart racing. Yes, sir.
Okay, so just we work with Dr. Wallach all the time. His assessment of AFib. I don't know if you got his All in Your Head book yet, but
he calls it osteoporosis of
the skull, squeezing the 12 pairs of cranial nerves.
That's probably involved.
Nerves.
There's probably that involved, but that's secondary. The primary problem is inflammation. The primary problem is something is sparking a defensive response, and it's deterioration of tissue. So yes, that's probably involved, but does he say he treat it like osteoporosis?
What? Yeah, reduce the thickness of the skull by remineralizing the skull.
Minerals are important. Remineralizing the skull.
Yes, because if you imagine you had a piece of steel, and the steel is very heavy, densely populated with minerals. If you then tried to have the same strength that you do with steel, and you had wood, the wood would be a lot thicker. So as opposed to
I see what you're saying. By making the skull stronger, it doesn't have to be as thick.
Absolutely.
Is that the idea? All right. Well, that might have something to do with it, but there's more direct causes for AFib. AFib is a sign that the body is in distress. That distress is usually caused by lack of oxygen, glycation or sugar damage, or inflammation. There may be some osteoporosis involved, and calcification of tissue will also, of the heart, literally the heart will calcify, it will become hard. So disruptions in mineral metabolism, which may be associated with osteoporosis of the skull, are probably involved as well. I don't know if I would directly say osteoporosis of the skull, but I don't want to contradict Dr. Wallach. Nonetheless, treating it as a electrical issue would be directly as an electrical issue would be the way I would do it, rather than secondarily by working on the skull. Mm-hmm. Working on the skull will also give you some electrical benefits, but if it was me, I would work directly with the tissue itself in terms of electrification. And that involves all the things we just talked about, making sure you're getting enough oxygen, making sure that don't have any sugar damage. Also, another really interesting issue is the heart sits on a framework of connective tissue. It's like the connective tissue is like a scaffolding that the heart sits on. That connective tissue is incredibly important for conducting electrical energy. It's one of the things connective tissue does. Collagen specifically conducts electrical energy. When that connective tissue starts to deteriorate, which happens as we get older, that can also be a cause of electrical disruption. So building connective tissue is another very important strategy. There's a lot of really direct strategies that will affect the heart, as opposed to working in a secondary way by trying to mineralize the skull.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I appreciate that, because I do have a lot of folks who are scared of AFib. So
they should be scared of AFib because if your heart's not beating properly, that's a huge problem, and strokes are worse than death. I mean, not all strokes, but strokes can be worse than death.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, can you imagine having a stroke? You're in a wheelchair the rest of your life, or you can't talk, or you can't move your arm the rest of your. I mean, that's horrible. And AFib can lead to stroke. So yes, we should be scared of that. That's why, number one, you want to work with glycation, sugar, eliminating sugar, or reducing your intake of sugar, or keeping your blood sugar stable, healthy blood sugar pack. Oxygenation, making sure you're oxygenating, building connective tissue, and supporting electrical energy. You support electrical energy with the B complex, the entire B complex, and your ultimate EFAs, as well as probably certain minerals like calcium and magnesium. This thing right here is one of the most important things you could ever take for AFib, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because it's got the electrolytes, it's got the B vitamins, and it's got the calcium and magnesium. So, and the OsteoFX too, actually, is probably important too. The Healthy Start Pack in general, or the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
Then we have two related to blood. Can the supplements be the cause of elevating blood pressure or seizures?
I don't even know how to address that. I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, that's.
I don't even know how to answer that question. Richard Feynman.
Honestly.
Richard Feynman was a famous Nobel Prize-winning physicist, and he was known for being really snarky. And so he would say, when somebody said something like, "Hey, go, that's not even wrong." You go, that's not even wrong.
It's just absurd. Huh?
So no, that's an absurd question.
Diane said,
No, there's no supplements that will. You said hypertension, what did you say? High blood pressure?
Elevating blood pressure or seizures.
No, I mean, no, that's not how. Look, what are supplements? They're food. They're the active ingredients in food. So there's no supplements that will cause seizures.
Okay. Diane says, I love you guys. Please help me with my anemia.
All right. So anemia, the standard way people work with anemia, or doctors, or the medical model works with anemia, is by giving iron. Okay, that's the logic. Iron is important for helping blood cells absorb oxygen. Iron is like a magnet that sucks up oxygen. So hemoglobin, which is your oxygen carrying protein that's in blood cells, has a core of iron. And that core of iron sucks up oxygen. This is how oxygen is delivered to all the tissues. Anemia is a blood cell issue. It's not an iron issue. So there's for some reason she's not making enough blood cells, or blood cells are being destroyed. Could be either way. Or she's losing blood. There's a hemorrhage. Those are the main reasons why people have anemia. So assuming she doesn't have a hemorrhage somewhere, she doesn't have an ulcer and she's losing blood, because they would probably know that. For some reason, her body is destroying the blood cells, or she's not making blood cells effectively. What would cause that to happen? Same thing that causes everything else: inflammation. So anemia needs to be regarded as an inflammatory problem. So then you say, how do you get inflammation? Inflammation is a defensive response. How do things get into the blood to initiate a defensive response? The same old story. So for this gal, everything the same. I would want to talk to her if I was talking to her. I would say, hey, where's your digestive? I wouldn't even ask, because she has to have some digestive issues for inflammation to occur. So there's nothing you can really do for anemia, because the anemia is secondary to an immune response. Usually, for some reason, the body is killing off those red blood cells, or not making red blood cells effectively, and that involves inflammation and immunity for the most part. Now, that could be nutritional deficiencies also. If she's fully, she's suffering from a poor diet, or she's not supplementing. The B complex are probably the first thing I would think of, the entire B complex for making red blood cells, particularly B12 and folic acid, but the entire B complex. And then also essential fats. If the membrane, the red blood cell membrane, which is made of fats, like all cell membranes are made of fats, is defective, the spleen, which is the organ that kills, doesn't kill, but recycles red blood cells. Red blood cells are constantly recycled. They have a very short life, and they go into the spleen. The spleen breaks them down, and you build more blood cells. So if there's damage to the blood cell, the spleen may be overactive and may start to kill them, and that could be due to essential fatty acid deficiencies. This is where sickle cell anemia comes from. You've heard of sickle cell anemia, probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sickle cell anemia is when the cells are deformed, and because they're deformed, the body sees them as being garbage or bad cells and destroys them. So I don't think that's where she would have a problem. I don't think that's her problem. I would guess, and I'd have to talk to her, obviously, but if I had to guess, I would say there's some digestive issues that are causing an inflammatory problem, which are leading to issues with the production of red blood cells. Yes, sir.
So would I also would we not also want to support the building of her bones, so that the bone marrow is producing
building bones are different from bone marrow. The bone marrow is a very unique tissue. When you're talking about building bones, you're talking about the outside part of the bone. The marrow, the center part of the bone where the red blood cells are produced, you don't build that by building bone. That's different. Bone is hard mineral tissue.
Is there a way to make that healthier, the marrow?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. The B complex those are your main blood building nutrients, are the B complex. And if there's there's some kind of immune activity, which I would guess that there is, you got to correct that as well.
You're a special man.
I would like to talk to her, to that gal. Do you have her name?
We'll see if we can set that up. On YouTube,
yes.
A couple questions. Dylan, OsteoFX made me constipated, and I believe the high calcium content caused it. I switched to Cal Toddy, and the higher magnesium content stopped it. Is this normal?
Yes, that can happen. I wouldn't say it's normal. It doesn't happen all the time, but yes, that can happen. Calcium and magnesium have opposite effects. Magnesium opens things up, loosens things, if you will. Calcium contracts things. So if you're eating a lot of calcium or calcium-containing foods or supplement with calcium, but you don't have magnesium to balance it, constipation is one of the things that can happen. And in fact, calcification, which can follow either excess calcium intake or deficiencies in magnesium or deficiencies in vitamin K, also is one of the ways we die. Our heart calcifies, our brain calcifies, our kidneys calcify. Soft tissue and glands will turn to stone, literally. Can you imagine that? That's how we die. We turn to stone. So using magnesium can help balance out calcium, and also vitamin K can help attract calcium into the bones, keep it out of the blood. Calcium also, calcification is not just a intake issue. Calcification can follow stress. And by stress, I mean physiologic stress in addition to psychological stress, which increases acid in the blood. Acid is a chemical that's associated with stress, associated with cell death, associated with inflammation. So if you're dealing with stress, cell death, inflammation, your blood can become acidic. The blood is the sacred space. It's extremely complicated tissue, and it is tissue. It's a liquid tissue, and everything in the blood is held just so. The water level, the temperature, the acid level, the proteins, everything about the blood has to be just so. If the blood starts to become acid, the body has a way of neutralizing that acid. What is that way? Calcium. So calcium will leach out of the bones. This is one of the causes of osteoporosis. Okay, so your osteoporosis of the skull, that's one of the reasons why you have osteoporosis, is long-term acid in the blood, chronic low pH, low blood pH. So working to raise blood pH naturally is a great strategy. You do that by eliminating stressors, number one. Oxygen also alkalinizes the blood. And that's the main way our blood is supposed to be alkalized, is through oxygen, and then probably electrolytes and minerals can do it too. But the main way is to reduce any stressors and to make sure you're oxygenating. It's one of the reasons why oxygen breathing really feels good, because it reduces acid. You blow off acid, carbon dioxide is acidic, and you inhale alkaline oxygen.
Edward asks, what type of food supplements are good for someone who has memory issues as well as depression?
Well, depression, don't watch the news. It's very depressing. The world, depression's a little tricky because there's an emotional component to depression. Depression is like anger without the enthusiasm. It's like you give up. Anger, you're pissed off. You want to do something, but depression, you just gave up. There's no more. And all of it underneath is fear. Fear is the bottom line of all of these negative emotions. In fact, a guy named Gerald Jampolsky was a famous psychiatrist. He said there's only two real emotions. He said love and fear. And he said that all of the yucky stuff are derivatives of fear, which is at the bottom. On top of fear is anger. And you can think about it. I know when I get angry, the main time for me to get angry is when I'm scared. Like when you're driving and somebody cuts you off. Right? Think about when you get angry. Usually there's fear involved. And then depression is on top of that. So I'm a little hesitant to talk about nutrition for depression. That being said, there are things that you can do, like keeping your sugar stable, keeping your blood sugar stable, making sure you're not dealing with dysbiosis, that is messed up gut bacteria. So again, our triangle of disease, reducing the stress response, cortisol, and subsequent hypothyroidism. So it's basically the triangle of disease. As far as memory goes, brain health, we'll call it brain health. Fats, and fats. Omega-3 and omega-6 fats, particularly omega-3 fats, are extremely important for the brain. Vitamin A, also very important for the brain. Vitamin E, also very important for the brain. Keeping your sugar down. In fact, I was just reading, I haven't myself, it's Alzheimer's disease has been called, and I've been citing it as type 3 diabetes, right? And I've been calling it's been called type 3 diabetes now for 20 years. And I've been calling it type 3 diabetes for 20 years. And I was very fascinated to read this week that now they're recommending diabetes drugs for Alzheimer's disease. Okay, so keeping your sugar, keep balancing your sugar is also very important to go with the fats and the fatty vitamins, and then also the B complex. The entire B complex is very important for brain health, but especially vitamins B1 and B3.
I had a follow up, but I don't want to go down that route. Just real briefly about because we do have other questions about the plant derived minerals, particularly the lithium, being helpful for brain.
Lithium is very helpful for brain health. In fact, it's a drug of choice for bipolar disorders.
Okay.
So yes, lithium plays an important
plant derived
role.
minerals.
Plant derived minerals, yeah, but they're not. You're not going to get a whole bunch
concentrated.
Of lithium. Yeah, you're not going to get a therapeutic dose of lithium, but yes, plant derived minerals in general for sure.
Mm-hmm. Eric, I have non-Hodgkin's, doing well. I want to know if I should have collagen peptides with bovine or without it. I see longevity sites. You sell collagen peptides with no bovine in it. No, there is bovine. There's 5 kinds of collagens, and one of them is the bovine, I believe.
Well, bovine just means cows, and I don't know. The only place to get collagen is from animals, and usually it's going to be cows. Although sometimes it's porcine.
We don't have porcine. We don't have that.
Then, there's also fish collagen too, but bovine is the most common form of collagen. So, but I'm not sure what he's asking.
I guess he's saying because he had non-Hodgkin's, he's thinking that the bovine might be a problem
because of hormones. I don't know why that would be a problem unless he's thinking about hormones.
Eric, why do you think that could be a problem?
Lymphoma is just for the list for whoever's listening. Lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma it's a blood cancer that involves the lymph system. Lymphoma, meaning it's a blood cancer, or lymph cancer actually, and it can be somewhat aggressive. I'm glad he's doing okay. I'm not sure what he's thinking though about the bovine collagen, unless he's thinking maybe there's hormones in the cows. That might be it, and that is always going to be it. That can be a problem for sure.
I know you got a hard stop. Everyone, if you have questions for Pharmacist Ben,
tomorrow,
please email us at questions@DailywithDoc.com. Just going to try and squeeze in.
We're going to be on Daily with Doc tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
So anybody out there listening, if you didn't get your question answered, join us tomorrow.
Noon Pacific, Daily with Doc. Rhiannon's asking, she's 66 years old, 4 surgeries for stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, taking anastrozole for the cancer, taking midorine for low blood pressure. Anything we can do to support her, help her body support itself?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do, but the basics are going to be the Healthy Start Pack. There's probably, again, the triangle of disease, the digestive system. I'd be working with digestive health. I'd want to talk to her at length about that. The digestive system, the blood sugar system, and then the adrenal thyroid complex or adrenal thyroid axis. I know, we spent a lot of time talking about the triangle of disease a few months ago or maybe a year ago. We haven't done it for a while, but I just want to reinforce to everybody these 3 points underlie all disease, all chronic disease, all degenerative disease. That is a disease where the body degenerates. It doesn't regenerate, it degenerates. It doesn't build up, it breaks down. The digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the adrenal thyroid axis. If you want to simplify it, digestive health and blood sugar health. You can at least begin to resolve every single health issue you can name once you start working this way, and ultimately you should be able to resolve them.
So, Pharmacist Ben, we're going to let you go.
Thank you, AJ, and thank you, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow on.
I got a final question for you. You can't just disappear like that.
Okay. Is it about the Jets?
Well, I'm done with the Jets for this year. There's always next year. But my question is more on the societal side, and it is, what do you think our prospects are going to be going forward, health-wise? What can we do?
You mean from like a government and political thing?
What's going to happen for our health freedom? We started the show talking about it a little bit.
There's not going to be any change. It's just going to.
You don't have any optimism.
No, I have no optimism.
Things are going to be a little bit different.
No.
You don't think that we're going to be able to use our health savings dollars to buy nutrition or anything positive?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all, in my opinion. Take care of your own business. Don't count on the doctor. Don't count on the government. Don't count on intervention, a pharmacological intervention. Carry your own water. This is one of my favorite things about longevity. Last thing I'll say here. And I know I've said it before, but it's a great story. I asked Dr. Wallach one time, I said, why did you call the company American Longevity? That was what the company used to be called, American Longevity. Right? And he said, it's my two favorite things, longevity, health, and America. We do it ourselves. We don't count on somebody else to carry our water for us, whether it's a doctor or whether it's the government or whether it's the HHS, the head of the health association, the little reptile doctor who wants you to get injected. You know what I'm talking about? Don't count on those people. It's up to us. And we're all in this together, folks. I'm here to help. Becca's here to help. AJ's here to help. We got a whole team of people who understand the longevity products, who are dedicated to helping you with your chronic health challenge. We can do this together. And if you have experienced the power of these ideas and the power of nutritional supplements, help other people. We can all do this. We can all do this ourselves. We don't need to count on the government to carry our water. We can do this on our own. Thank you so much,
Pharmacist Ben. Thank you, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Facebook. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live. Incredible to be with you. And Pharmacist Ben, see you tomorrow. You're the